All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another round of Coffee and Questions. And what are we going to talk about today? Well, I got Tina, the shop girl, out there busy working, as you can see in the picture. And I'm going to turn the question over to Charlie, my puppet shop helper. And so the question becomes, is there an easy way to make a vertical hand for welding or anything, really? But, that third hand, you noticed back in one of the videos I did, I showed you how to make one. But it wasn't vertical. It was more of a horizontal. So I'll turn the question part of it over to Charlie, then we'll jump right into it and we'll talk about it. Here we go.
Hey handyman, is there a way I can make something that clamps to my welding table, like a third hand, that will hold something in a vertical position, like if I'm welding a couple of pieces of steel where I don't have to hold it, but it has to be in like a vertical position? Thank you.
Okay, so Charlie, yeah, there is. Let's start with what you need to go buy. We'll get right to the point. What you need to do is go out somewhere like Harbor Freight, get yourself a pair of vice grips like here in the picture. If you don't have any steel, you can always pick up the small pieces, Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever. But, if you're out of the steel supply place, like I always say, ask them where their cutoffs are. I always root around, find some interesting pieces, and I end up buying them, and they're not that expensive because you're not buying full lengths of steel. So anyway, after you get done at Harbor Freight, I would stop at Lowe's or Home Depot anyway, and you got a choice. You can use all thread, or you can buy yourself like a carriage bolt or any kind of a long bolt, really. One that I made, I used one that had a hex head. It was just a long bolt. And what I did is I found some scrap metal, those vertical pieces you see on here, just flat metal. And I just went ahead and I welded them on there, and I welded the nut on there. And then that half inch, I used half inch, that half inch bolt ran through there. I put a nut at the very end, filled it with weld, ground it flat. And then that front vertical piece you see here, it's the same thing. I just brought that little piece of steel up the same height. I put a nut on there, filled it with weld and grounded it down after it was welded on there, of course. And then for the handle, I just used a piece of, I think it was half inch, just round stock. And I just cut a small length and I welded it on to the back of that bolt. And so that creates the turning crank for it. And it worked real good. Now the one here in the picture, the guy made it a little bit better. I mean, he's got the handle where it slides around and stuff. It wasn't necessary for me. I just went ahead, like I said, I welded that piece of rod on there, and then there you have it. So you have that long carriage bolt or that bolt, and you got 1, 2, 3 nuts is what I ended up using. You can see where the one, it was welded on there, and then, he used some kind of a flap wheel or something, and he took the welds down and made it look pretty good. I didn't go that far. The welds still show up pretty bad, but like I've always told you, it's not a beauty contest. I mean, it's just a matter of making functional tools. So real easy, a couple small pieces of vertical steel. You got a bolt, you got 3 nuts, and just a little, handle on the back. So about $7 out at Harbor Freight is about what the vice grips run. Under $10. You have this vertical third hand or this vertical clamping device. So I saw this, I keep it in my collection of stuff. I've made a few of these. I made a couple for friends. I have one for myself, but I had a friend of mine say you really should have at least 2 of them, because if you have a large project and you've got one piece of steel coming off of the right and one coming off of the left, and you want to align these with a certain angle or something, it's nice if you have one on each side of your welding table or clamp somewhere so that each can hold its own piece of steel. And as you bring them together, you can use another little clamp or something, and then it really creates an additional set of hands all the way around for you to hold the steel. Okay, let's go over to questions and then we'll go from there. Okay, one of the questions is, do I have to get Harbor Freight vice grips? I don't know. Buy them at a garage sale, wherever you want. I'm just pointing out it's cheaper at Harbor Freight. They come out of China. They're kind of junky, but for this third hand or this helping hand that I'm talking about, they work really great. Rest of the stuff you can, pretty much buy anywhere. And then the other question somebody had asked is, will they rust quick? I don't know, just throw a little wax on them. I did a whole video on how I take care of my drill press beds, lathe beds, and bandsaw, and, table saw and all that. I mean, I keep them clean, and then I use Johnson's paste wax. You don't have to. You can use any brand you want, but I have, 2 containers of it. One is for tools. The other is for actually finishing wood. And I've had it for a couple of years or more. I mean, I don't use a lot of it, but I live out in the desert cities area. So I'm not in the colder climates where you have a lot of snow and a lot of rain and you might worry about rust. But if you do, that's a very cheap, easy way, to have a rust preventative method. I clean them up, wipe them down with wax and rub them off. I mean, you could spray them with WD-40 or some other method, I suppose, if you want, but that's just my advice on that. What other uses have I used this third hand for? I don't know, mostly just welding, but I suppose you can modify and tweak this however you want. You could move that one post farther forward and get yourself a much longer bolt if you have a larger surface that you need to, clamp it to. Feel free. Like I said, this was the picture or the template that I use. I didn't make it exactly this way because I just used a bolt, like I told you, in a, piece of round steel, and welded it on the back as a handle, and a couple of nuts, and filled them with MIG weld. And I don't know, that was about it. Very simple, very handy to have when you need it. So the one comment, you're right, I might end up making another one. I could see where 2 would come in handy, but for right now, I have one. I keep it in my box where I keep, jigs and all this other stuff. So this is more meant to be your quick tip of the day. I don't see a lot of questions. I'm the home handyman. I hope you click subscribe. I hope you follow me. If you know of something better, drop it in the comment below. I would appreciate it. And let me know your thoughts. Do you like these quick tip videos? I'm not after, making these long intros. I try to get right to it for you folks. Anyway, I hope you have a great day. I'll talk to you on the next video. Bye-bye.